Please say that to him.
Karen Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Many of us in this House will know the value of community hospitals in our constituencies, none more so than the Leek Moorlands Hospital in my constituency. There's recently been a consultation on the provision of healthcare in North Staffordshire, and there's understandable concern about the future of Leek Moorlands. So can I ask the Prime Minister to join my campaign to keep the Leek Moorlands Hospital open in Leek with enhanced services for the benefit of all the people of Leek and the Staffordshire Moorlands?
Well, firstly, Mr. Speaker, can I thank my right honourable friend for everything that she has done for the people of Northern Ireland, and thank her rightly for raising this issue in her constituency with me. Of course, she will understand that the decisions affecting Leek Moorlands must be led by clinicians, but I hope that a solution can be found that benefits everyone in my right honourable friend's constituency.
Thank
you, Mr. Speaker. In a desperate attempt to win yesterday's vote, the Prime Minister apparently made emotional appeals to Conservative MPs that he was serious in seeking a deal. But his answers in the House yesterday and today make it clear there are no real negotiations in public or in private. Those with whom he claims to be negotiating in the European Union have said nothing has been put on the table. So does the Prime Minister understand why across this country people find it difficult to trust a word he says?
Prime Minister! Mr. Speaker, can I tell the honourable gentleman that what I think the people of this country want to see is us come together to come out of the EU on October the 31st with a deal. We are making great progress with our friends and partners both in Brussels and in Dublin and even in Paris. But those talks are being currently undermined, I'm afraid, by the absurd bill that is before the House today. I urge him to reject it, and if he must pass it, then can he have a word with his right honourable friend and ensure that that bill is put to the people in the form of a general election?
Dominic Green.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In light of the Prime Minister's answer to my right honourable friend, the member for South West Hertfordshire, could the Prime Minister please then explain why it's proved impossible to find any official or minister prepared to state that the reasons for prorogation were to pave the way for a Queen's speech in the course of the current legal proceedings in which the government is involved? And would the Prime Minister like to reconsider the answer he's just given to the House?
Prime Minister.
I hesitate to advise my right honourable and learned friend about legal proceedings, but I think if he looks at what happened in Scotland this morning, he will discover that case was thrown out.
Karen Bach.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a result of budget cuts to the Home Office and largely enacted while he was Mayor of London, police numbers plummeted. 1,000 fewer officers in the West London Command Unit alone, 1/3 police officers down in my borough of Westminster. He is now promising us to get us back to where we were in 2010 with an additional 20,000. And he has told us, and he said again today, that those 20,000 will be frontline police and on the street. It is, however, now clear that at least 7,000 of those officers will not be frontline police. So, in order to help this House build some trust in any of the promises he makes, can he tell us if that is true?
Mr. Speaker, I think it's absolutely bizarre that a Labour Member of Parliament for London should ignore the role of the present Mayor of London, who is frankly not a patch on the old guy, and I left him £600 million, by the way. I left him £600 million, and he squandered it on press officers. Sadiq Khan has squandered it on press officers, and the faster we get rid of Sadiq Khan and get more police officers out on the street, the better, and that's, in my view, the best possible argument for Sean Bailey as Mayor of London.
Order. In the remaining minutes of this session, I appeal to colleagues to take account of the fact that we're visited by a distinguished group of Lebanese parliamentarians. At the invitation of the Interparliamentary Union and the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Lebanon, chaired by the Right Honourable Gentleman Member for South Holland and the Deepings. We'd like to set them a good example. I'm not sure at the moment how impressed they'll be. Sir Gary Streeter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I think I can comply with that. May I welcome the extra £14 billion recently announced for our schools, especially in southwest Devon, where I understand we have the largest increase in the country to correct historic underspending. Does my right honourable friend agree that this cash boost will help our hard-working teachers to prepare the next generation to reach their full potential? And won't it be wonderful once again when we can get through Brexit that we can start talking about education, health and social care, the things our constituents are really bothered about?
Well, exactly right, Mr. Speaker. I thank my friend. Exactly why we need to have this 3-year investment in education and get Brexit done, Mr. Speaker, on October the 31st, and don't be attracted to any more dither and delay and confusion under the Labour Party.
Vernon Coker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister yesterday booted out 21 MPs from his own party for voting against a reckless no-deal Brexit. These included very well-respected members of this House, including a former Chancellor, including Churchill's grandson, and the father of the House, presumably on the orders of his Chief of Staff. Given that the Prime Minister himself voted against the former Prime Minister's deal without losing the whip, does this not show and demonstrate to the British public his view of life, namely one rule for him and one rule for everyone else?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to take any lessons from the Labour Party.
Order. Leave me to control the proceedings. I should be immensely grateful for your assistance in that regard. That heckling must cease, and we will hear the reply. The Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to take any lectures from anybody in the Labour Party about how they run their party. Look, this is a party where MPs, good, hard-working MPs, are daily hounded out by anti-Semitic mobs. Let's be absolutely clear. If the Right Honourable Gentleman is actually interested in democracy, if he's interested in democracy, then I hope he's been listening to what I've been saying today. In an anti-democratic way, the bill before the House today would hand over this country's right to decide how long to remain in the EU, and it would hand it over to the EU itself. That's what that bill involves. If he thinks that's a good idea, then let him submit it to the judgment of the British people in an election.
Richard Harrington.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you will know that tomorrow is the 9th annual Watford Jobs Fair. Now, I'm taking particular interest in the 1,000 or so vacancies this year. And I felt that other members of both sides of the House might be interested as well. I'd like to thank Victoria Lynch and Anna Cox for organising it. We've got 1,000 vacancies in more than 60 companies. Mr. Speaker, I would like the Prime Minister, if he has any spare time tomorrow, because there's not much going on here, perhaps he could pop up to Watford where he'd be very welcome.
Prime Minister.
I thank my right honourable friend, who has been a wonderful champion for Watford and for conservative values, he's also done a great deal to. I've been to campaign for him in Watford, and I've seen how popular he is. May I say that there are 20,000 job vacancies now in the police.